What's up guys, Colin here, HMOM Fitness. Today I'm going to show you two exercises for your quads and your adductors. I've shown you these exercises before, but I've added a modification to them, so they're a little more comfortable while you're doing them. But basically, this is the first exercise. So you take a barbell, okay? Preferably with a fair amount of weight on it. Before the video, I actually had this amount, what was this, 5, 10, 20, plus another 15 on there. So I had a good, 35 pounds on each side. And basically the modification to this is I've gotten kind of some pipe insulator, some foam pipe that you can kind of put around pipes to make sure nothing leaks, or so just for safety, people don't hit their heads and stuff. So basically this is acting as a just a little more of a cushion for my legs, and actually I can load more weight on here because when I have this on, it disperses the weight a little bit. And this is like a a solid like half an inch thick, so this is really nice actually, and it's pretty comfortable, and I can totally feel like I'm getting deeper into the muscle because I can add more weight, yet it's dispersing it a little more. So it's not only comfortable, but I can get in deeper, because before, you just have the barbell on your skin, and that's pretty uncomfortable. With this, you got that little foam with the weight, so it's really just a lot more pressure. And you can actually really find those corners and those really tight spots because it's comfortable. So you can kind of, you feel more comfortable to get into those spots because it's not going to hurt as much, but you're going to get a lot more pressure in there. So it's definitely a winnable situation. And so the importance of this exercise is, earlier today I read an article, a physical therapist post on Facebook. It basically was saying, 11 muscles that you really can't stretch. And one of them was, well, I guess you can say 4 of them, are the quads. And the reason why you can't really stretch them is because really their end range is at 120 degrees of hip knee flexion. So that's basically when your calf is touching your hamstring. So pretty much full knee flexion. And only then does it actually start to get on a stretch. So, with that being said, it's basically almost impossible to get adequate stretch on your quads because that's your physiological range of motion is usually 120 degrees. People really can't, a lot of people can't go past that too much. So this is extremely important because we can now get into a deep tissue type of massage on these quads. And so this is really nice because you can just stay here all day. And the cool technique here is with your knees is you do some kind of inward and outward movements. And so you can kind of think of this as like a tack and floss. You kind of find an area, you can press down with your hands too, and then move around, and you will just you will feel the knots just trying to open up. It's kind of a bumpy road, so you keep doing this, and the nice thing about this is when you find a position, you can kind of just work with it back and forth, and until this thing is loosened up. And the really cool part about this is when you move this up, what really I think is extremely useful besides the massage part is we can actually go after the tendon, the quadriceps tendon. Now that tendon seems to be a big issue in a lot of people, especially jumpers, runners. It's a very common pathology to have, and that's why people in kinesiology, physical therapists, there's a lot of effort to kind of figure out why. Okay, so the nice thing about this is you can kind of get pretty close to the kneecap here, right where those those condyles are of the femur. But make sure you're just not on any bone. You want to be as close to the patella as possible. So what's going to happen here is it's the same kind of technique as before, but now we're kind of really on the tendon, not too much of the muscle anymore. And the same thing applies. So you do some lateral, medial movements. And basically what this is kind of acting like is a cross friction massage. Now that technique is used for a lot of tendon and ligament injuries, because what happens is with a tendinosis we get that collagen buildup and it gets extremely junky in there. Instead of the collagen lining up parallel, we start to get perpendicular in all these cross sections. So the goal of a cross friction is to break up that collagen so that it can align better in parallel fashion. Now you're supposed to kind of combat that with types of eccentric exercises in a proper plane that will help align those tendons better. But this is a great starting point because we can start on the tendon and then go side to side. And the nice thing about these pipe foam things, whatever they're called, they actually have a little grip to them. And so when you do this, you can actually kind of tell that you get a fair amount of grip in there. And so that's what we really want, is that fascia that kind of take on and grip. And so while we do this, a lot of change has to occur in those tissues. So once again, guys, a lot of different things you can do here. You can just find those spots, press down, and obviously the point of the weight is to add adequate pressure. But if it's not enough and you don't want to add more weights, use your body weight. And then side to side, you can do on the bar, you can move your legs. You can kind of do extension of the knee. And also another part that you can't really see, but my feet, you want to try and get them in as much knee flexion as you can, because the quads, even though they're not really stretched in that knee flexion as I was talking about, they are in a lengthened position. So that just gives us different access to different areas. If it's extended, knots and tightness sometimes don't appear because they're in a contractile state. So those knots don't really show up as much, even though they're there. But in a lengthened state, we can kind of see that more. And so we're lengthened, and then we have access to those tight knots and those buildups. And so it's actually a very good way to loosen up the quads. So there you go, guys. It's extremely fun exercise. Make sure you load off. That's safe too. All right, see you guys.